Hello and welcome to Angie B Artist. So it's been a long time since I've been on here, actually over a year, but it's been quite nice that my channel has still been growing while I've not been around. I have been working hard, I have been developing myself as an artist, and now I'm ready to start doing more videos. So today I thought I'd have a look at some of the different mark making tools that I've got. So I'm very much interested in using mark making more and more in my art. So I thought I'd have a look at what I've got and show you how they are. These are I'm just going to look at crayons for this video. There'll then be a video on oil pastels and on pencils. So please keep an eye out for them. So the first thing that I'm going to have a look at is something that I actually don't like. And it is the Dina Wakley scribble sticks. Now I love Dina Wakley stuff, absolutely love it, and I don't know what it is about these that I do know what I don't like, but I don't know why they don't do what I want them to do. So I've got a piece of mixed media card here. This is the pink frog card, and it's just an A3 piece. I'm just going to do some mark making on here just to show you what these do. So these make a mark, not a problem, and then they stay still. Okay, you can put whatever marks you want on, and they work fine on this scenario if you just want them as a mark maker. And this is something that I do occasionally use them as, but you can see they're hardly used, and I've had these quite a while and I've hardly used them. I'm just not a fan. So you put them on, they're static. It's not something that I'm keen on. You can see there's a little bit of movement there. It's just beginning to smudge, but they're not brilliant, not for me. So I'm not saying don't get them, I'm saying they're not what I like. Now these are wonderful. I'm going to bring up my favourite colour now. So this one, these are the Jane Davenport crayons. And if you know Jane Davenport, a lot of her stuff is made to look like makeup. She's a fabulous artist and creator from Australia, and these are so soft, but then you can start to get movement of them, which is what I like to do. And you can add water to them, which I will do in a moment, but I'm just showing you how you can see that's actually coloured in, whereas on this one we rubbed it, nothing really happened. But these are made to look like little lipsticks. This one's well used. The whole range that you get, that I've got, are the ones that are sort of lips and skins. So lipstick colours, skin tones, and then you get some purples and things. And I like these. I think these are a lovely, lovely crayon. But then, on top, I'm just going to have to, no, it's this purple I like. I just want to show you this purple. I like this one. Whee. Okay, there's a little bit of purple, and if we give that a smudge, you just get some movement, and that's what I like. I don't like static. I like there to be some movement. Right, then I'm going to move on to my favourite in the crafting kind of style, and these are Tim Holtz Distress Crayons. This is my full collection. I haven't got them all, but this is my collection, and I have spares of some of these as well, the ones that I really like. So these ones are brilliant. They're part of the Distress range. If you know Tim Holtz stuff, Distress is one of his major sellers, and these are just the crayons. These are so soft. You just screw the end and they move up, and they are so soft. Okay, so there's a little bit of a pattern. Use my finger and you actually get a decent amount of movement on it. I love them. I love how soft these feel. They work particularly well over the top of acrylics if you want to add another layer of interest, and that's what I tend to use them for. Let's pop some pink out. I love the pink. How gorgeous is that? It's picked raspberry. It's one of my favourites in the inks and in the sprays. I just love it. But you can see how smoothly, she says, and then finds a bit that's got some grit on it, how smoothly that goes. It's just lovely, lovely jubbly, and then you can soften down those edges, and I really like that. Right, so they're the three main ones that I've got. Now I'm going to do a direct comparison to just one brand of oil pastel that I use, and this is my favourite brand of oil pastel, okay, and it's Sennelier. Okay, so here I have, this is one of my large Sennelier oil pastels, so it's lovely and creamy to put on. I love them, absolutely love them. Now watch how this one moves. It just moves so much more. You just get so much better coverage. You can see the intensity of the colour spreads out more. What I'm going to do is do the same crayons, but I'm going to do them on top of a piece of paper that has been gessoed. So here's a sheet of the same paper, which is the pink frog. I always have to think pink pig and pink frog, and then I think no, pink pig's what's on the inside of my art journals. So this is what we'd already done, and then we're going to use the same, in the same order, the different types of crayons. So these are the Dina Wakley media, and this is a bit of a scribble. I don't know if you can hear the difference. There's a little bit of a grittiness sound to it, and that is due to the fact that you've put gesso on, and gesso acts like a key, so it gives something for the other products to stick to, and on certain things like these crayons you can actually hear the sound of it. Okay, so we'll do those two, and then we will do, what different colour? Oh, we'll do a different purple. So these are the Jane Davenport ones. I do love Jane Davenport stuff. If you've not come across Jane Davenport yet, please go and look her up. She does the most amazing products. A lot of her stuff is to do with faces and drawing of faces and creating things like that, which isn't my cup of tea, but her products are lovely. So you can see now, because we've got the gesso, we're getting a much better movement of those crayons. Yeah, so that's completely different from what we had before. So that is the same as these. So there's a huge difference in how much movement we've got. So it really shows how useful gesso is. So I'll do the pink as well. This is a different pink which has hardly been used. It's not my favourite pink, but it's a pink. And then again you can see lots of nice movement of it. So you can really get, if I then go over this again, just in certain areas, you can start to get graduation of the colour as you go across, and you can really build that up. So they're nice when they're on top of gesso, those ones, so I like them. And then the last ones are the Tim Holtz ones. Sorry, my brain got distracted, not quite sure what by. Couple of Tim Holtz. I keep choosing purple. So this colour is ripe persimmon, and that, oh, it's so smooth, it's lovely. And again, I'm just going to give it a rub, so you get some really lovely movement of the crayon. Now, to me, the reason that this is important, you see that's almost completely coloured. I use the crayons to add shading and colour, or I like a smudged line. I dislike this severe line as a front piece on any of my work. Oh, this one, Wilted Violet. It's beautiful purple. Just going to do a little square. So I like the fact that you get the movement and you can start to rub it in. I mean, you can see the difference there. 3 different types of crayons, 3 different effects. And then I'm going to get another one of my Sennelier. I don't know if you can actually see the label on that. Let's turn that light in slightly, see if that helps. Sennelier. I'm just going to do a little bit of a squiggle, and then, oh, look at it. It's just beautiful. So this is what I look for in pastels. So this is why I've moved on more to oil pastels rather than using craft crayons. So the other thing that I wanted to do is, I've got a little brush here and I'm just going to add a little bit of water. So I'm going to go back to the original and add water. I'll take that one out underneath just in case it decides that it's going to leak through. So we'll start off with this. So these are the Dina Wakley. So you can see there is a little bit of movement of colour, but you still have that solid line. It's not removing it. And I don't want to rub too much, because if you do that you're going to end up pilling the paper, and you really don't want to be pilling it. Let's move on to the Jane Davenport. So again, you're getting very little movement there. You've actually got more with this one than you get with this one with the water. So there's not a lot going on there. Let's try Tim Holtz. Again, now I do know with the Tim Holtz that if you do it, if you add the water straight away, I've had a little bit of a break in between doing this part of the video and the other part of the video. So if you add the water straight away you do get more, but you can see there's definitely colour moving there. And then water with oil isn't really going to do a whole lot because it's oil pastels, so that's not going to do anything. If you wanted to do the movement of the oil pastels, you could use something like this, which is just a solvent, and that would give you the movement of the oil pastels. Right, so that's not with gesso, and then if we do it with gesso, let's see how we get on. So on gesso, you can see that the colour is given up a lot more easily from the lines that you've drawn. So these are the Dina Wakeleys. Now I've seen a lot of people love the Dina Wakeleys, and they're just not for me. But you can see there is quite a lot of movement there now, so you can do that. So if you wanted to do an outline, so if we get where are they? There. Let's do, if we said we'll do a little flower like that, and then you want to just drag the colour in, you could do that. You could go from the inside out and start to get a little bit of colour, paler colouring in. So remember, it is going to be paler, you're not going to get a rich colour. That's worked terribly, hasn't it? It has taken the lines, but if I do it like this you'll see a lot more movement. It's not really showing up much, that blue. Let's add a little bit more. A little bit more. Add a bit more intensity. Yeah, that blue's just really pale. Oh well. Right, we'll now move on to the Jane Davenport. So this started to move a lot more. So this now is lifting completely. You're going to not even be able to see the lines that you scribbled. So this is acting more as you would expect a watercolour paint to act. So this is because we've got the gesso underneath. What I sometimes do in my art is, if I'm going to be doing a gessoed base, whether it be on a wood panel, on paper, on card or on canvas, I will quite often purposely not gesso the whole of it and leave some gaps, and that means that you would get a difference. So these are the same crayon and you get a difference because of whether or not there's gesso there. So that's another thing that's good fun to do. Right, let's see what happens with these ones. Again, you get that beautiful watercolour effect. I love it. So when you start with the gesso and then start adding the water, the Jane Davenport and the Tim Holtz work very similarly. Okay. Ta-da! And again, I'm not anticipating this will even budge because it's oil based. yeah, there's nothing happening. So the reason that that's not budging is purely because it's oil. Oil and water don't mix. It's not going to do anything to it, which is what you'd expect. So yeah, they are 3 different types of crayon, and then the oil pastel at the end, that you can use when you're creating. So one of the things that you can do when you're doing this, just let me grab some paper. I'm going to get a smaller piece of paper. This is some mixed media paper. I think this one's, yeah, this is Dolly Dimple's mixed media card. I do like this, but I've not got a lot left. Right, so what you can do, if we want to add on, right, we haven't got any gesso on this yet. Let me gesso it. So here is my very small tub of gesso. I love this gesso. This is the Pebeo Studio Acrylics gesso, and I've got 2 tubs of the white and 1 tub of the clear, and it's just, it's such a good gesso because number one, you can get your brush in it no matter what size you brush, but it just seems to do what I want. I also get big pots of it because my canvases are quite often 1 metre square. And if I'm going to gesso them, and I've only got a little pot, it's not even going to do a full canvas. So if you think about gesso as your base coat, as you would put on with any painting or decorating, and all this is doing is giving you a surface that you can then take another product to. So it looks like white paint, but it doesn't act quite like white paint. It is a base coat. Although sometimes I do use it as a white paint if I've got easy access to it and I'm feeling particularly lazy and can't bother to go and find my white paint. I'll just use gesso. So here is a sheet of the Dolly Dimples, I couldn't remember the name of it, the Dolly Dimples mixed media card, and I am just going to do some mark making. So I find mark making really useful for connecting me with the paper. It just makes me feel more at peace with what I'm about to do. It gives me pause for thought, it gives me permission to play a little bit. You can do whatever you want as you're mark making. I'm going to use some of the Distress Crayon, and I'm just going to do a couple of different shapes there. I am going to intentionally use some of the Dina Wakley ones because I know they're going to leave marks that are going to come through, so it is good for that. Let's go with I'll have a little bit of brown coming in as well. So this is the Jane Davenport. One thing that I sometimes do if I'm feeling a little bit miffed, we'll use miffed as a polite version, but if you're feeling a little bit unhappy or miserable or not keen on things happening in life, then use your mark making to express that. There's several of my paintings that if people saw what was on the first layer, probably wouldn't want the painting, because I will write anger words, swearing, or sometimes the opposite, and trying to actually put something more positive into it, which is writing love words. Right, I've just picked up 3 different colours, 3 different brands of paint. So I've got Dale Around in indigo, Pebeo in what colour is this one? Alizarin crimson, and then we have Newton and Winsor and Newton. I was going to say Newton and Ridley. One day I'll get it right. Winsor and Newton gallery paint. I apologise for some stuttering on the speaking. One of the reasons that I stopped making videos was I actually had a stroke a year ago, and that's why I stopped. And one of the things that was affected by that was my speech. So I do apologise if I stutter over words. That's the reason why I've not quite gotten my speech back 100%. Now I've used this one in particular because it has the word transparent. This is actually a little bit transparent as well, and then this one isn't. So I'm just going to leave it as that, and then I'm going to get my brush. So my brush is wet. I always have several pots of water and I go through a system. The first one gets the worst off and I go through another one, and sometimes I will even go through a third. But I am just starting, so you can see the transparency here. So some of what is underneath is starting to move as well. Now, just for clarification, I am an abstract artist. I am not here trying to paint a face or an elephant or a tree or anything like that. I make abstract art, and I really enjoy doing it because it is a lot more freeing. If you do want to see any of the art that I make, I'm just going to rinse that extra bit off there. It's a bit too thick, so I'll just give it a rinse. If you do want to see any of my abstract art, feel free to have a look at my other socials. Instagram, Facebook, it's Angie B Artist. I do have a TikTok channel, but it's got very little on just at the moment, but that will be altering over the next few months. Right, so I've got my 3 colours down, and then I'm just starting to get some mixes. So you can see some of my mark making is still coming through, some of it isn't. And that's fine, that's what I want. This isn't, as I say, I do abstract art, so this isn't trying to be a thing. This is just an abstraction, that's it. Now here I have, this is what I was just looking for. This was once upon a time a paintbrush, and the end died. But I tend to use this end for mark making again. So what I will do here is do some graffitiing. So I've got some red on there. I don't want to put that straight on there, not all of it anyway. I'll put some bits. I've just got my cloth over there, and I'm just going to do some marks with this. And then what you can do is start to extend them out, and you're therefore forming almost a frame to your picture. And as you're doing this, you will see how the other layers are coming through. So if I bring this up, you can see there you've got very obviously where it's been more translucent. So that's the green gold, where you can still definitely see the colours I've put underneath. This is translucent. This I can't say it, let me read it. Alizarin crimson, but I've put a thicker layer on, so you can still see some little bits of the crayon, but not a lot of it. And then up here where it's thin, again you can see the crayon. Where it's thicker you can't, but then because I've scraped it back, you're starting to see little flicks of the colour, and it just adds more interest to whatever it is you actually end up painting. So this is the beginning of a picture that I will then add to and expand on, and keep an eye out for how it's going to look. So yeah, that's just having a look at a couple of the different things that I use for mark making. I have got a lot, so there will be more mark making videos. As I say, I'll be looking at pencils, I'm going to be looking at the different types of oil pastels that I've got. I think I have 4 or maybe 5 different brands of oil pastels that I use. I've got some wonderful Derwent watercolour blocks, superb for bigger pieces, absolutely superb. So yeah, keep an eye out, and please feel free to like the video and to subscribe, and then you'll get to see all the videos that I put up, which I'm hoping is going to become a lot more regular now. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.